I had a really messed up board, like it was really chipped on one end, and I landed on it wrong, and it came up and it hit my face, and it cut my lip right in half. Even after that, I had to get stitches for the first time. I was on like painkillers, and I was just laying there thinking like, when can I go out and skate again, It was Christmas Eve, and it just happened to be like 50 that day, and it was a break from all this crappy weather, and I was like still recovering, but we went out and skated at the park anyway. And I was probably about 13 when I first started skating. I don't really remember the first time I ever like saw it or got into it, but I just remember thinking like skaters always looked really cool. Before that, I almost only play video games. I used to play soccer, but I didn't really fit in with those kids, and I didn't make any good friends there, so I resorted to staying at home. Growing up, my mom had a lot of people living with us throughout my life, and one of those people happened to have two sons who skated. I mean, they were my best friends for several years, and they would watch like Viva La Bam, and they were into like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and that was kind of my first experience with it. I mean, I was hanging out with them every day, so it kind of wears on you after a while. They taught me how to ollie, and like I got my first board from them.
What kind of board was it?
I don't remember, but one of the other things that like really drew me in is they would draw on their grip tape. They were both really good artists, and I remember it had like bright red grip tape on it, and he drew like this really nice rose and black Sharpie, and I got that from him. Art was kind of the gateway into skateboarding. The first time I ever saw an actual skate video, like not a TV show, it struck me out. The way they skate and the way it's filmed and everything about it is just very artistic is the only word I can think of. Crafting the film around the skater, you can see their personality completely. It's just something I've really always admired. It was mostly street starting out for me because there weren't many parks around, whatever curbs that we could ollie on or whatever. For a while I stopped because they ended up moving away, Alex and Vince. So I was about sophomore, I think, when I got back into skating, and I just found some old friends that had kind of been in a similar position where they kind of dabbled in it but didn't really go all in to it, and we all just started skating really hard all of a sudden. At that point, one of my friends, who's also named David, funnily enough, he's just into filming, and he brought out a camera and we just kind of started filming each other. Started as like tracking how like our progression has been over the summer, and then it just turned into like this thing that we just kept doing. The goal every winter was just to maintain, so you didn't have to restart in the summer, learning new tricks and all the progression that you've made. So throughout all of high school, it was like every day, just get out of class, meet up, skate. We started putting out videos on YouTube just as a pastime, really. It was good exposure for him to start editing. Obviously, when he was skating, he wanted someone else to film him, and that's how I started getting into filming. And that's when I realized like I really enjoyed getting the perfect shot and making sure that the clip looked appealing to your eye, even if for people who don't skate. And it's not to say that like our clips weren't like amazing and heavy and impressive to a lot of people, but it was just fun and something for us to do and work towards as a group, really. I started like researching films. I followed this podcast, and every time they would talk about whatever skate film inspired the skater that they're interviewing, I would just like write it down, make a list, and then just watch all of them. It's like hundreds of hours of these famous like skate videos that are kind of a rarity now that Instagram's out, and you can just get this heavy clip of doing whatever down this huge gap or stairs, and like 5 minutes later it's online, and then like a day later it's gone. Nobody remembers it. It's not even the fact that Instagram's the culprit. It's like a reflection of our society. Our attention span can't sit through an hour-and-a-half long film anymore of skating. So it's like these treasures almost, these old films. And I remember the first one that I saw was Fully Flared by Lakai. Just the way it was done like really, really struck me. It captured the essence of every skater. The intro sequence is like them skating on these, not props, but like it's set to explode while they're skating on it. It's all in super slow motion, and they're doing these crazy tricks and like getting hit in the face by debris, and it's comical, but it's also building this relationship between all of them who are on the team. Just seeing how all of them like have their matching songs that fit perfectly for their personalities, and I don't know, it really inspired me to like try to keep the legacy alive in a sense. I want to be able to put out videos where they're remembered for more than a day. It's not just a little clip, it's a project, and more of like a community gathering. Older skaters will always talk about where they were when this video dropped. We don't really have that nowadays, and that's just kind of an aspect I want to hold on to. Ty Evans, who isn't really known for his skating, he's one of the most well-known filmmakers in skating, and he kind of has like this documentary-esque style to his films. Not as many like fisheye lenses, which is like kind of the norm for skating, and a lot of long shots, a lot of like drone footage, which not a lot of people do. It's just very cinematic.
Core Brands, is that a description of different companies, or is Core Brands like a brand itself?
No, it's like a description. It's like true to skating, by skaters, for skaters, just referred to as Core. It's kind of the same thing with Instagram to skate films, is like Nike and Adidas to Core Brands is kind of like oversaturating the market. It's lowering Core Brands' value in a sense. Last year, I got to go down to the warehouse for Alien Workshop, which is another brand that I admire a lot, and I got to meet the guys who run it, and they just sat down and talked to me and told me their whole story, and it's like really fascinating. And that was kind of when I made the transition into wanting to basically be a voice for companies like that, kind of keep them in mind with my future work. Skating for me started out as a hobby, and it gradually became this thing that I had to do every day. It went from that need to seeing how much the industry has changed and how much corporations are kind of oversaturating it, and that fuels my desire to help out the little guys in a sense, whether it's like shooting commercials or making films for their team, any way I can help or be involved in the industry at all. It's all fascinating to me.